The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, thank you so much for attending our webinar this morning with John and Ting and National Guardian Life. So greatly appreciate you taking time out of your Friday morning. This is Sandy Vicani. I'm a supervisor here and I oversee the life department. And again, just so greatly appreciate everyone's time. Before I hand it over to John and Ting, who top producer of ours, does such an amazing job not only in life and annuity business, but especially with the National Guardian product, which he will go over. So want to just say thank you so much for him taking time out of his schedule for that. At IAMS, we offer several different options for agents. The last thing that we want to do is just have you get contracted with us and then stop our relationship there. That's not what IAMS is about. So here at IAMS, we offer several different programs. One of them is our referral program. So when you refer an agent to us and that agent contracts with us, we're sending you a $50 check to say thank you so much for entrusting us with that referral. When that same referral places business with us, and that's life, annuity, MedSup, long-term care, we give you 20 basis points on each piece of placed business from that point on indefinitely. That does not come out of your commission. It does not come out of that referred agent's commission. That comes from IAMS, and that's just a special thank you from IAMS from, again, entrusting us with that referral. For every agent, we have something called a marketing reimbursement account, and what we do is we put in $100 into this marketing reimbursement account, similar to a savings account, for every $100,000 of placed premium you place with us. Again, that could be life, annuity, MedSup, combination thereof. And that builds, that is an indefinite account. And what you can do is submit a business invoice. And for example, if you have $500 in that account and you submit an invoice for $1,000 because you purchased a seminar program or you purchased a new computer, we will pay that $500 out to you. So we pay up to 50% of that invoice as long as that money is in that marketing reimbursement account. We also have, for brand new agents with us, the first 6 months of producing, there's different builder levels that we supply. So in your first 6 months, if you place $100,000 of business with us, you can choose a $750 cash bonus, or you can choose a 2-year producer website that we create and manage for you. If you'd like to wait and you think, gosh, my first 6 months I'm going to do $300,000 of business, place business, you can choose a $1,500 gift card. You can choose to put $2,000 in that marketing reimbursement account, or you can choose a Social Security program and 3,000-piece mailing system. If you'd like to hold off and think, gosh, I'm going to go gangbusters here, my first 6 months I'm going to place $500,000 of business with us, you can choose a 4,000-piece mailing and seminar coaching with a top producer of ours, Dave Pimper. You can choose a 5,000-piece mailing and seminar coaching with another top producer of ours, Matt Gill. Or you can choose, it truly is my favorite, a Ritz-Carlton Travel Rewards Getaway, where you plan your own travel getaway. We also have outstanding back office support. So again, when I say that, we don't just end our relationship with your contract, we continue that with strong back office support. So we try to help you work smarter, not harder. And how we do that is case design assistance. When you give us a call and give us a client information and you're not too sure what to do with the monies or if they're able to get approved, we'll help you with that. We also run quotes, send forms. What's really important is to follow the steps from submission to commission. So when you submit an application, we scrub that application and we make sure nothing's missing. If we need to order exams and labs, we get that ordered. We send to the carrier the exact same day, and then we follow that piece of business, again, whether it's on the life or the annuity side, every 3 days, make sure that it stays on track, that we're on top of it all the way until you get paid. So we know how important it is and how difficult it is to get business in the door, and the last thing we want to do is make sure that there's not any type of misstep happening. So we do follow it from submission to commission. We also have a strong creative marketing team, and I can't encourage you enough to give either Sean or Jacob a call. We can help with any kind of turnkey solutions, whether you're looking at flyers, newsletters. If you have business cards that need to be refreshed, or you don't have business cards or a logo design, we can help get those created for you. We also help with a website. If you need a refresh on your website or you don't have one, we'll create and manage that for you. Any type of online newsletters. We also do social media consulting, and that is huge. I mean, we will help. If you're not familiar or comfortable with Facebook, we can help you come up with advertisements on Facebook. That's so big right now. So give Jacob and Sean a call. They'll be more than happy to go over how they think they're able to help your business on the creative side. We also have a very strong website. It's www.iamsinc.com. On that website, I go to it every day. I utilize it every day. You're able to run quotes, pull forms, you look at current industry link and news. You're able to pull up the current annuity grid, which will show you the top 5 carriers for fixed annuities, the top 5 carriers for annuities with income riders. You can pull the long-term product grid up. Really important also on our website is you're able to pull up our webinar schedule. You can see what's scheduled. You can also pull recorded webinars. And we also have a support tab, and in that support tab is a library full of different educational videos and forms to help you through your business. So if you're not registered with our website, please get registered. Great tool to have. So I'm going to put out a poll question here, and answering yes is just, well, actually I don't have a poll question. So I'll get information out to everyone. So when the DOL ruling came out, we thought it was really important to make sure the agents here didn't lose any additional revenue. So we came and created IAMS Wealth Management, and it's just such a great choice for financial advisors. We find that having a wealth management side of your business does increase revenue. It improves your clients' retention. You're now able to offer a full range of products and services to your clients. So you're not limited to life and annuity. You're able to go outside of that and make sure that you keep that relationship full with you so they don't have another advisor come in. And you're also viewed differently by your clients as an advisor. You are now considered a fiduciary. So I can't stress enough, if you have questions, let us know. We'll be more than happy to get you over to the wealth management side. They will be calling you after this webinar just to make sure that if you do have questions that they get those answered. We have a Life and Annuity Academy that actually John is coming up and training at. So with this Life and Annuity Academy, it is a 2-day training, and that academy is all expense paid. We go over sales, seminar systems, income riders, transfer tools. We have agents all over the United States attend. We choose between 35 and 40. Our next one is October 17th through the 19th. And if you are interested, of course, I'll be giving you a call, and we will be going over that Life and Annuity Academy to see if it's a great fit for you. So now I'm going to just hand it over to John Enting, who again, top producer, not only with us, but several different great carriers, including National Guardian. He's going to go over how important it is to have National Guardian in your portfolio. John?
Well, good morning, and thank you very much, Sandy. I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody taking time out of your business to be here with us today. The first thing I want to point out to you is I am an advisor. I'm in the field. I'm not a home office guy. I don't work for National Guardian Life. I just use their product with our clients to help them, and we'll go over how that client actually, or that product actually meets the client's needs as we move forward. So what we're going to cover today, and Sandy, you can move on to the next one. What we'll cover today with you, We'll talk about the opportunity that exists in the marketplace with this product. We'll talk about the trusts themselves that are offered from National Guardian Life. We'll talk about the product we use to fund that trust, give you some presentation ideas and tools that you can take and run with. And then I'll spend a little bit of time talking about National Guardian Life, the company, and the value that they bring to the table to advisors. So the first thing we'll talk about is the opportunity. About 14 years ago, this product was brought to me by a mentor of mine. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't understand it. I just knew when he told me that if I learned it and talked to my clients about it, it could generate another $45,000 or $50,000 a year of revenue to me while I was doing the same job I was already doing. And I'm a big believer in having different income legs to my income stool of my business. And so this was a perfect fit. So again, I didn't know anything about it, but I love a good opportunity. And then when you can act on that opportunity and kind of become really good at it, then that'll translate into sales within your business. So we all know we're in the planning business. It's no secret that you have to, if there's anything you want to accomplish, it takes planning, and your clients are relying on you for that advice and information. And so what we have to do with our clients, as you well know, is consider all the options that are available to them. Point out to them the plan that'll work best for them, and then you have to find the money. You have to find the money to be able to help them implement the plan. And as we go through this, I'll share with you how you find that money and the phrase that you use with your client to motivate them to move the money into the funeral trust. So funeral expenses and final expenses aren't any different when it comes to planning. Someone's going to need to determine the services and pay the bill. And the question becomes who and when. So there's a couple different choices there. It can either be the deceased prior to their death. So this is someone who's organized and gets their affairs in order, or in my situation, and I'll share a personal story with you, it can be left to the survivors afterwards. So I'm the youngest of 5 children. I've always been the entrepreneur in the family. So anytime anything happens, my phone always rings and they're looking for my input and my advice. Well, on January 21st of 2011, my father passed away. Now, my mom and dad divorced when I was 2. I wasn't real super close with my dad. I mean, I saw him on birthdays and holidays, but we never had these type of conversations. And so I found myself sitting in a funeral director's office, and I was getting asked questions like, what's your dad's mother's maiden name? What was his favorite flowers, favorite hymn, his highest rank in the military? And to be quite frank, right, wrong, or indifferent, I didn't know the answers to these questions. But what it did make me realize pretty quickly is that what I've been doing for my clients up to that point and to now is I have been taking that off of the children of my clients' families. So we've got the clients organized now so that they don't have to go through what I went through. So with NGL, they offer a couple different choices. They've got the plan and pay for the funeral. So that's where you walk into a funeral home, you pick out your casket and all the things you want done. And that's called the pre-need side. And then they have the final expense side where you can pay for the anticipated expenses by setting money aside today to be used in the future to pay for your funeral. So what we like to do is talk to our clients about how much a funeral actually costs. And you'll hear different numbers from different people. You'll hear some people tell you they think they're going to be, that they want to be cremated. And there's still a cost to doing that as well. But an average funeral that most of your Americans are going to have is going to run about $14,000. We've seen that up to $16,000. And we will ask our clients, if something happened to you yesterday, how would your funeral be paid for today? It's actually a thought-provoking question. And then the key to that is you have to listen to what their answer is so that you know which way to pivot and to be able to help them do the planning in the best manner for them. So the opportunity is huge. They did a national survey. 72% thought it was a good idea to pre-plan, but 64% hadn't taken the steps to do so. And we believe the reason for that is, I'll give you an example. It's beautiful here today in Columbus, Ohio. It's about 84 degrees outside, sunny. I doubt many spouses are waking up and rolling over and looking at the other spouse and going, hey, let's go pick out our caskets today. Because while the thought is in their mind, taking the action to actually think about your demise and go take care of the planning is hard, because the average mind can only complement or contemplate your demise for about 11 seconds, and then you quit thinking about it. So one thing we know is your clients aren't any different. I'm working in the same space that you're working in with pre-retirees and retirees. So the advice I'm giving you is coming from a practice of doing this on a daily basis. So how big is the market? The market's huge. We all have seen these numbers. Over the next 20 years, 80 million people are going to file for Social Security benefits. And by 2025, there are going to be almost twice as many seniors as there are today. So in my mind, when I look at that, this business is all about prospecting and having people to see. Because when my father-in-law brought me in the business, he said, hey, you can have the best products, the best ideas, and be the best salesman. If you don't have people to see, none of that matters. So the point to that is, it's an exciting time to be in this market. And this is something that people are talking about. So think about if you can perfect what you're doing with this product, and then think about the fact that your base of potential clients is going to double over the next 7 to 8 years. Plus, we have to consider this, and this is one of the questions that we bring up with a client to get them to start thinking about pre-planning their funeral, is 69% of all Americans older than 65 are going to need some type of nursing care. And Sandy, you can go to the next slide there. The national average cost for long-term care is between $68,000 to $78,000 per year, and that number seems to be growing at about a 4% rate every year. And many people who don't have long-term care insurance coverage, which is about 93% of all retirees, they are going to come to a crossroad, and they are going to have to try to qualify for Medicaid. And that's just a nicer way of saying that they didn't do any planning. They had to spend all of their assets down so that they could go on to the government's program. And so when we're talking to our clients, we'll point this out to them, and we'll say, hey, if we could share with you some ideas where we could help you save some of that hard-earned money that you've worked for during your lifetime and protect it from a nursing home spend down, I'm sure that's something that you would like to learn about. And of course, the answer we get from those clients is absolutely. So how does all this fit together? Basically, NGL takes an insurance product and they blend it with a funeral trust. So we're getting those advantages of life insurance. We're getting the advantages of an irrevocable funeral trust, which allows us to have an arm's length from that money so that it won't be counted against us in the event we go into a nursing home. It also allows your clients to plan ahead by setting those funds aside. So if I were working with a client and they said, hey, you know what, John, that's a great idea, but we're going to go down to the funeral home and prepay down there. I'm going to tell them that that's great and those intentions are wonderful, but why don't you set the money aside now? And then when you decide you want to go to the funeral home and do that, then you can do that at that time. But the most important thing is getting the money put aside and protected from a nursing home spend down. So what we basically do is use the trust to hold those funds, and effectively we've spent that money down, and that can help them qualify for Medicaid consideration. So the trusts themselves that are offered from National Guardian Life, they give you some benefits. And you'll see on the next slide that the Irrevocable Trust will give you protection from creditors. The benefits that pay out are income tax free. The funds are available immediately to the family. The trust, there's no cost to them. This is important. I work with an elder law attorney that's right down the block from me, and he will come see me when he's doing Medicaid planning, and I'll do some irrevocable trusts for him in the funeral trust. But if you wanted to just go into him and protect assets, he'll be happy to do an irrevocable trust for you. Now, granted, it's a little more complex and you're getting a little more for it, but the party starts at $7,500 just to sit down at the table with him to get that done. So we're going to show him a more cost-effective way to do it. Everyone's going to qualify for the trust assignment. The death proceeds are used for funeral expenses, so we don't have to worry about probate cost or delays of filing claim paperwork with an insurance company. And another important thing, the funds are totally portable. And the reason I say that is if you have a client whose children take a job down in Florida and their grandchildren move down there with their children, down the road, the client might say, hey, you know what? We're going to move down to Florida. We want to be close to our son and our grandchildren. Well, if they've prepaid their funeral here in Columbus, Ohio, and now they move down to Florida, that could present a problem for them. If they have an irrevocable funeral trust with National Guardian Life, those funds are portable and can be used at any funeral home in the country. So how do the trusts compare against traditional savings instruments? On this next slide, I'll let you take a look at it and just kind of read through the different savings instruments that are available out there. But the one thing I want you to look at is the bottom where we talk about the irrevocable funeral trust. We're getting a yes in every category that we're hoping for to help a client protect money. So here's how the trust works. What we're doing is we're selling the client basically a life insurance policy. It's called an asset guard policy. And it's a single premium policy. In our business, that's all we sell. But what happens is we just did one of these for a client. She gave us $15,000. It gave her an immediate death benefit of $15,500. And then she's getting a 2% simple interest growth on that money while it's sitting in the irrevocable funeral trust. So what we did is her money actually came from a savings account. We bought the policy, the asset guard policy, and then we assigned that policy to the irrevocable funeral trust. So while it's sitting in that irrevocable funeral trust, a couple things have happened. Number one, we've just excluded it from a nursing home spend down. So now that money's 100% protected. It's going to get a 2% simple interest death benefit growth rate, and it'll earn that interest until the time the money's needed. Now, once the money is needed, and I'll walk you through an actual claim that we just did, what happened is we had a client whose mom passed away. She called us. She said, Mom passed away. We got the name of the funeral home. We reached out to the funeral home and got their fax number and their contact person. We then called National Guardian Life, gave them the policy number, the contact person, and the fax number for the funeral home, and then we are out of the process. That claim gets paid to the funeral home within 48 hours. Now, why is that important? I don't know if you know, but funeral homes will not do anything, not even the showing, until they have funds to pay for that funeral. And with traditional life insurance, as we all know, if you don't have the money sitting in your savings account, you now have to file a claim with the life insurance company. So you have to get the paperwork, then you have to file the claim, then you have to get the certified death certificate. That whole process can take up to a month to get the funds for the funeral, where this process, within 48 hours, that money is sitting at the funeral home. And then any excess funds, so say there was a $15,000 benefit and the funeral was only $14,000, that extra $1,000 has to be paid back to the estate, because we had it in an irrevocable trust to protect it from a nursing home, so the clients wouldn't have any incidents of ownership. So that's a real easy thing to do with the excess money to get it paid back to the family. But the nice thing is it's a very nice process, down to the point we had a client pass away. They had about $16,000 in death benefit. The funeral was $16,300, and the funeral director said to our client, that was the easiest process we've ever went through. We're not even going to bill you for the extra $300. We're just going to use the $16,000 from the trust and call it a day. So again, it's a nice, simple process that makes sure it's an easy process for everybody. So National Guardian Life offers a couple of different trusts. The first one they offer is the Funeral Expense Trust. Now, I'm going to talk about Ohio because that's where I'm at, and then I'll show you a chart of all the states, because I see we have a lot of people on here and you're probably from all over the country, and I'll show you what your limits are. But for this conversation, we'll talk about Ohio. In Ohio, we're allowed to put up to $15,000 per person into a funeral expense trust. So if we have a married couple, it's a nice little deal. We can pick up $30,000 in the house for that family. It's going to help exclude their assets. So basically what we're doing is we're taking that $30,000 right off the table. And this is great. I will have the attorney come down to me where he says, hey, we've got somebody that we need to get apply for Medicaid and get their benefits start on October 1. We know you can get $30,000 off the table, so it's not even countable. Do a couple of these trusts for them. And it's great to move that money out of their estate immediately. And then again, like I just showed you, that trust will pay for the funeral cost, and then any excess funds will go to the estate of the insured. Now, with the estate planning trust, you can put up to $100,000 per person into this. And this is gives you the ability to exclude the assets in order to qualify for Medicaid after the 5-year look-back period. So I'll give you an example on that. A lot of these clients are going in to see this attorney, and let's say they have a couple $100,000 in cash laying in the bank. Well, he's going to charge them $7,500 to do an irrevocable trust for them, and that irrevocable trust is going to have a 5-year look-back period as well. Where we can do the same thing for the client, we can put $200,000 away, and that trust is absolutely free to the client. That just means that after a 5-year look-back period, if they go into a nursing home, 100% of that money can never be touched by the nursing home. So again, if they choose to, they can do the same thing. They can have part of these funds used to pay for the funeral expenses, but any excess funds are going to go to a designated beneficiary of the insured. So again, this doesn't go back to the estate with the estate planning trust. It goes to a named beneficiary. So when I do the academies, which I'll be at in October, I get a lot of agents that ask me, which trust do I use, John? And I will tell them this, it's pretty simple. The Funeral Expense Trust is great for crisis planning. If you had a spouse come in and say, hey, my husband's in the nursing home, we're going through money very quickly, you can actually write one of these on the person in the nursing home without ever seeing them, so the wife could sign for them, and you could do one for the wife, and you could get 30 grand off the table immediately. Maybe Medicaid's possible in the next 5 years, so they're seeing their assets are depleting, and they're like, man, we're probably going to have to go on Medicaid. Let's protect what we can. So this is great for that. And then I do a lot of public seminars for our financial planning side of the business. And I bring this up with every client. I don't care if they're worth $1 million or they're worth $150,000. I'm going to point out to them, if they tell me they just want to know that their funeral expenses are taken care of and they want to know that that money's protected now, this is a great tool just to go ahead and do for the client. Now, with the estate planning trust, maybe Medicaid is a non-issue now or in the next 5 years, or maybe never. I like to share the story of a couple teachers that I work with. He's a double dipper. He worked as a principal at the school, retired, went back as an administrator for the school district. So they're making a lot of money. They've got a big estate. And when I met with them, when I first met them, and this is about 4.5 years ago, I asked them, I said, hey, do you have any money that you know you'd like to set aside today that in 5 years from now would be protected from a nursing home no matter what happened in your life? And they said to me, John, we're never buying long-term care insurance. tell us about that plan. So what we did is, it's been 4.5 years ago now, we did one of these estate planning trusts. We funded it with $100,000 for each spouse. So I picked up a $200,000 deal that night, and they now know that in about 6 months, no matter what happens in their life, that $200,000 plus the growth is going to be easily passed down to their children, regardless of what happens with them and their health care during their lifetime. Now, sometimes you'll have someone who says, well, I already prepaid my funeral at the funeral home, and you can say to them, well, do you have any charities that you are leaving a specific bequest to? Because you can have your funeral prepaid at the funeral home, and you can want to leave money to a charity, but if you go in a nursing home, the nursing home doesn't care about your charity. They become the charity. So with this program, you could easily set aside money for your church, for the Cancer Foundation, whatever you wanted to do, and you could know in your heart of hearts that in 5 years that money's 100% protected regardless of what happens in your personal life. And that's the real opportunity. You can write some really nice big deals off that estate planning trust. So on this, we'll talk about the product, which is the actual Asset Guard product. And what I'm going to do today as I talk about it, you're going to see it's just a fixed rate product that we're going to combine with a funeral trust. So we're going to get that increasing death benefit, and we're going to get that secure financial protection that we're looking for when we're doing the final expense planning. And then when you look at the next slide here, I'll show you your individual state limits, and I'll make a couple comments on that. So you can see there in Ohio that we're allowed to put up to $15,000 into an irrevocable funeral trust, and we can also put $100,000 into an estate planning trust. Well, let's say you're on this phone call and you live in Florida. As you see there with Florida, you're not allowed to offer a irrevocable funeral trust. They don't allow them in Florida. So if I were in Florida, I would say to a client, hey, you know, we can't do the irrevocable funeral trust for you, but you still haven't pre-planned your funeral. So let's take that $15,000 and put it into the estate planning trust. It's going to work the same way. We just need to get through the 5-year look back period. So just because you see a low limit on your funeral trust in your state, I think Nebraska has a lower limit there too. So it's $4,916. If it's me and I live in Nebraska, I'm saying to that client, hey, we can only put $4,916 into this irrevocable funeral trust, but we all know a funeral costs more than that, so we're also going to set up an estate planning trust and put an additional $10,000 in there so that you have enough money to cover your funeral expenses. The only difference is one's excluded immediately, the other one we have a 5-year look back period. But as we all know on this phone call, 5 years goes by quickly. And if you don't think it does, I'm going to put something in perspective for you. The housing crisis we had where everybody was up in arms, that was 10 years ago already. So time does fly, and you need to point that out to your clients. So on the next slide, you can skip, Sandy, you can go through that one. And then we'll go to the next one. And so this is everything that'll be paid for by the irrevocable funeral trust. So you can see that everything on there except for the actual plot that you would purchase at a cemetery is covered. And one of the things I always point out to clients with this program is that transfer of deceased on there. If you have clients that travel and they're down in Florida and one of them passes away and their residence is back here in Ohio and they need to get the body back here for the funeral, there's a cost associated with that, and you could actually use money from these trusts to pay for the transfer of the deceased to get them back to whatever state that they're looking to be buried in. So as we go on to this next slide here, we'll talk about the Asset Guard. For this conversation today, I'm only going to talk about the single pay because that's all we do at Inting Financial Services, or single pay policies. So you can write a minimum face amount of $500, and with the estate planning trust, we can go all the way up to $100,000. you can give your client a growth rate up to 2.25%. Now, you get to pick the growth rate for your client, and what I would say to you, and again, this is just what we do, we picked one growth rate that we were going to offer clients, and we offer that to them consistently across the board. So every client that does business at Intang Financial Services gets a 2% growth rate. And then there's going to be one health question on the application. Everybody is going to qualify, so you don't have to worry about doing work and spending time with a client and then finding out that you're not getting paid because you didn't get the contract approved. So if we go to the next page there, Sandy, we can write this from 0 to 99. You know, this is a great conversation with grandparents. You know, if you have grandkids and they're young, why not put $10,000 if you're trying to protect money? Put $10,000 into one of these trusts for your grandchildren or all 5 of your grandchildren, and know that that money is going to be there for them for a lifetime and that it can never be taken from them. So that has one health question on the application. If they answer no, it's a standard issue. If they answer yes, it's a guaranteed issue. So what will happen with this is all of these policies are going to increase with daily with simple growth. So it's interest credited daily, simple growth, all single pay, which again is what we do, are immediate full death benefit. So if the client we just wrote for 15 and she has 15.5 plus she's been getting interest for about a couple weeks now, she passes away tomorrow, that immediate full death benefit is there for her family to do what we told them it would do, which was to take care of her final expenses in an organized manner to make everything not only easy for the family, but also easy for the funeral home to process. Now, if you do not like paperwork, I will tell you you're on the right conference call today, because this could not be easier to do. It's basically 2 pieces of paper and your state replacement form, and you're done. Now, I'm going to put that in perspective for you. I wrote my first annuity contract in 1993 on a gentleman that owned a dry cleaner in Marion, Ohio. It was a $25,000 annuity. I couldn't even believe someone would let me leave their business with a $25,000 check. But what was amazing is that application I wrote that day was 3 pieces of paper, and the last one was the receipt that I had to leave for that client. Now, if you're in the annuity business or traditional life insurance business today, you know one thing for sure. You're facing 30 to 40 pieces of paper to do an application. With this one, it's literally those 2 pieces of paper, your state replacement form, and you're off to the races of submitting your business. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at the app. This first page here, it's really simple. It's going to be all the client's basic information. You're going to come down, you write the premium in there, you're going to write the face amount. Again, we do single pay life, so we're checking that box. Those A through G, those are the interest rates you can offer your client. When you get contracted, you'll see how those correlate. And then you've got your statement of health question down there. And really on that, what they're looking for is to make sure they're not in a nursing home. They haven't been advised by a medical professional in the last 2 years to do some type of surgery that they haven't had yet performed. And then they're looking for the biggies, congestive heart failure, all the way down to a coma, insulin attack from diabetes. So again, it really doesn't matter how they check the box. You're going to get the contract issued and do a good job for your client and get paid for the time you spent with that client. So on the next page, this is just the bottom where you're going to have the client sign off, and you're going to sign and put your agent name on there and your agent number so we can get you paid. And then this is a receipt. If you pick up cash with app, you're just going to write a receipt and you're going to leave that for the client. The next form is, there's going to be 2 variations of this. The one that we're going to show you, this is the Funeral Expense Trust disclosure. And so if you were doing this, you would use this one. If you were doing the estate planning trust, you would use the other. Now I'm going to say something to you. You might find a time, if you're doing a 1035 exchange of it, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, of old cash value, I did one for a client and they had about 60,000 of cash value in there. So we did two apps. We did 15,000 into the funeral trust, and then we put a letter and directed that the balance of that money, or the 45,000, go into the estate planning trust. So we basically had one application, but we did have to sign two disclosures with the client. So if you go to the next page, I want to point out something to you. So how it works is this: once they buy the Irrevocable Funeral Trust, 45 days after issue, they put that money into the Irrevocable Trust. So you buy the life policy, it gets issued, 45 days later, voila, automatically it's in the trust. But say you're working with a client like the one my elder law attorney sent me, and they say, hey, look, we're trying to get qualified for Medicaid. We're on a time frame here, and October 1st is our day we're applying. You can do this plan for them, and you can both sign off down here which says, hey, I'm waiving the 45 days. Get that money put in that irrevocable trust for me immediately. We're trying to protect some money before the 1st of the month. And you can make that happen on the bottom of that form. So when you're presenting it to clients, it's like anything else. When I sold that first annuity that I was telling you about, I'll be honest with you, that was 1993. It was the first one I sold. I barely knew anything about annuities, but I knew just enough to convince a guy to give me a $25,000 check. This product's no different. The better you get at it, the more repetition, the more clients you talk to about it, you're going to be very, very good at it. And what I always tell advisors is this: anytime you have a new product, the first people you should be talking to about it are your current clients. And so if I were an advisor that had just picked this program up and I was going out to do an annual review with a client, I would start with this. I would say to the client, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you've worked with me for a while. Would you agree with me that the recommendations that I've put in front of you for your family in the past up to this point have worked out the way that we anticipated they would? Well, your clients are going to tell you yes. They're your clients. They like you. So then at that point you say, well, you know what? I've done some additional training and I've come across something that we didn't address in your plan, and I'm going to show you how we're going to get that taken care of. Not are we, if we, I'm going to show you how we're going to get it taken care of. So I'm going to assume we're going to do it. And then I'm going to review the issues that we've went through here. I'm going to discuss their needs, and then I'm going to present that funeral trust to them. I'm going to stress the benefits of planning ahead. I had an agent in an academy say to me, man, John, I know it's sad for you, but I sure wish I had that story about your dad. And I said, well, you know what? You do. But you just tell the client that, hey, I have a good friend in the business, and let me tell you what happened with his dad. And share my story with them and tell them that it can be used at any funeral home. Here's the problem when you go prepay at a regular funeral home. When you prepay at a regular funeral home, that funeral home could go out of business. It could get sold. So the people you thought you liked and wanted to handle your funeral, they may not even be there when you pass away. If you have this plan, if they're there, you can still go do your funeral with them. But if they're not there, then you know you have money to go to any funeral home that your family needs to go to get your final wishes taken care of. And then I want to spend a second on this last thing here. If you were to ask your clients that have these old paid up policies, and you were to say to them, hey, Mrs. Jones, do you realize when you pass away that you've got $10,000 of cash value in this life policy, and you have a $12,000 death benefit? You understand when you die, you don't get both of those numbers. You get whatever's bigger. So basically what the company's doing is they're paying you a $12,000 death benefit, but keep in mind, $10,000 of that's your money because it's the cash value they're paying. So when you explain that to them, and you can say to them, doesn't it make more sense? Because if you go in a nursing home, they're going to make you spend your cash value at the nursing home, and now you're not going to have any death benefit or cash value. Why don't we 1035 exchange your existing cash value into the Irrevocable Funeral Trust, get you a growth rate where it'll grow for you, and then even if you do need nursing home care, that this money that you're anticipating to use for your final expenses is always going to be there for your family. It's a great tool. Always look at old life insurance policies. Always call and get the cash value and the death benefit. You can do a lot of business in 1035 exchanges with your clients. And then again, you got to close the sale to get paid. You're going to give your client that peace of mind of knowing that, hey, they've got their affairs in order, then that they've planned ahead. So next, where do you find the money? Here's the beautiful thing about this product. I tell our clients when we're getting ready to do a plan for them, whether we're pulling the money out of the bank CD or maybe it's sitting in money market or we're doing a 10% penalty-free withdrawal from an annuity, I tell them this: Mr. and Mrs. Jones, the only thing we're doing today, if you think about it, is we're really not even buying anything. We are taking money you already have that is on a countable side for a nursing home spend down, and we are moving it over into a non-countable side for a nursing home spend down. So you're taking your money from your left pocket and you're putting it into your right pocket, and you're getting protections that you didn't even know you could get before we started having this conversation. So the money's out there. You just have to motivate the client to take it from the left pocket and put it into the right pocket. So when you're dealing with National Guardian Life, they have some really great marketing tools. The two that we use are that NGL Funeral Expense Trust on the left and then the Estate Planning Trust on the right, those brochures. Let me tell you how good these brochures are. Went out and met with a client. They had some money with Nationwide and old life insurance policies, and between the two of them, it was about $80,000. I went through this whole program, left pocket, right pocket, the whole deal. And when we got done with it, she looked at me and she said, John, I'm going to let you know, just like when we did the annuities with you, we need to think about it. And I said, well, I'm going to let you know something, just like when you bought the annuities. I don't have any problem with somebody thinking something over, actually think it's a good move. But as you well know, the best time to make a decision is when everything is fresh on your mind. So I am going to call you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So read this brochure. It's a trifold. If you want to do it, we'll set an appointment. If you don't, that's okay. The next morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, my phone rang. It was that client. She said, hey, John, we went through that little brochure. We understand it completely. We want to set the appointment to move the money with you. So they do a really nice job of layman's terms in these brochures that will help you to motivate a client to move forward. So with National Guardian Life, I'm going to kind of give them a little plug here. I've been doing business with them for 14 years. They are the only company that I can sit here with absolute truth and tell you I've never had an issue with them. I've never had an issue with them paying their money, paying their commissions, paying claims, getting business issued. As a matter of fact, if you like the submission to commission to be quick, if you picked up a cash application today and you were to send that into National Guardian Life and they received it on Monday, your commissions will be in your account on Tuesday, because it's getting issued when you send the money in. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So National Guardian Life, as we all know, we're looking for strong insurance companies because we want them to be there to take care of our clients like we promised. So you can see that this is what they do. It's their niche. They're good at it, and they're a terrific company to do business with. So one of the things that you'll love about National Guardian Life is once you're licensed and contracted with them, their agent support website is fantastic. So you can calculate premiums. You can order your supplies and have your company name put on the brochures. Look up policies. But one of the things I really like about it is you can go on every morning, hit reports, pull up your commission statement. If you sent business in a couple of days, you're going to see the commissions in there. They have client approved videos on here. So if you are, PowerPoint. So if you're someone who takes an iPad out into your appointments, you can have that little PowerPoint on where I walked you through how you buy the policy, put it in the trust, and how it gets paid out, and share that with a client until you're good enough that you don't need that, or you may like that and use it in every presentation forever. The thing is, as long as you're getting the information out to the client, that's what you're supposed to be doing, and they're going to give you every tool to be able to do that. So why sell the products? We showed you your clients are thinking about it. They're just not taking action. It's a great income opportunity, as we're going to talk about here in just a couple minutes. The trusts are free, no fees. And, you know, we always ask our clients, has anyone talked to you about this before? Do you know we've never had a client tell us yes, that someone's talked to them about an irrevocable funeral trust, doing it outside of the funeral home? We share with them that those funds are always portable, so it doesn't matter if you move to another state or if the funeral home here that you would have pre-planned with went out of business. You have the choice of going to whatever funeral provider you want. We're putting it with a great company. We're giving that client the peace of mind that they need. And again, if you don't like paperwork, you're going to love National Guardian Life. So great compensation. What I did here is I'm just using a basic illustration. If you had 2 couples each month and you could show them why this was important, and you just did 10,000 on each of them. I'm big on maxing it out. I do 15,000 on everybody. But say that they're in a position where they can only do 10 each. If you do that, you're going to add $40,000 to $50,000 to your annual bottom line, and I'm only showing you working 10 months a year because I know we're all in this business because we like our time off as well. We work hard, play hard. So I wanted to give you an idea where it's a nice revenue booster. We use it at Inting Financial kind of as our baseline that we know we can pay all of our office expenses every year just by writing National Guardian Life. It kind of takes care of those expenses for us. So on the next slide here, what we're going to do is take a look at this upper left-hand corner where you see it says face amount 0 to 60,000. Let's go down to a 61 to 65-year-old. If they're issued standard, that's a 13.31% commission. If they're issued guaranteed, it's 8.2. But let's talk about the issued standard. If you went in the house and picked up $30,000 on a married couple, that's a $4,000 commission. You've done a great job for the client. You've gotten them organized. You've protected their money, and you've got paid for doing something that's valuable to that client. So as you get licensed with National Guardian Life, we'll send you all these your commission grid. And believe me, I don't know anywhere else in the industry today where you can use a product like this and make that kind of a commission. So National Guardian Life does a real good job with their rewards trips. I've been on it. They treat you like gold. But one of the things I'll say about reward trips, and it's probably how I've gotten to where I'm at in the business today, I've been on tons of sales conferences over the last 30 years, and I always wanted to make sure I found the top producers that were there, and then I wanted to ask them what they were doing, because I didn't need to reinvent the wheel. I just need to make sure I had all the spokes on it. And so I would find these people and find out what they were doing, and then I'd just come back and implement that into our business. So whether you're with NGL or maybe you're new with insurance agency marketing services and you make their sales conference, find those top guys. They're always willing to share what they're doing, and they would love to help you out. Now, on that note, next Tuesday, and if you get contracted with National Guardian Life, which we're going to give everyone the opportunity to do, next Tuesday we are announcing a sales contest that we're going to announce the winner on December 14th, right before Christmas. It's going to be a big cash prize. We'll tell you how you can get involved in that and get chances to have your name drawn out to be part of that. So we're excited about it. Hopefully we can get you contracted and get you on that webinar, get you off to a fast start. So some of the biggest challenges with this product is just remember, your clients believe pre-planning is a good idea. You need to get comfortable, understand what you're talking about, go out and present it to those clients, stress the benefits of pre-planning. Here's the thing. One thing we all know for sure in life, we're passing away one day. So no one can give you the excuse, I may not need this. You just need to stress to them the benefits of having a plan in place, and then keep it on the top of your mind every client, every day. It's a simple question. Have you prepaid your funeral? So what we're going to do for the clients or for the agents who get licensed, and we've been doing this for a while, is the next slide here. We're going to share with you something that we'll make available to you that you'll be able to go out and brand for yourself, and it's called a guide for beneficiaries. I'm going to give you the story behind why I created this. This is one of my creations. What happened with us is we had a client that we had about $500,000 of annuity premium, and the mom passed away that had all the annuities on her. And the daughter called my office and she said, hey, I wanted to let you know mom passed away last week. And I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We need to get an appointment so that we can go through the annuities. And she said this to me, oh, John, don't worry about that. We've already talked to the guy down at the bank and he's going to handle everything for us. Well, what she was basically telling me is, because of you not having things in order, you're losing $500,000 of assets from your business. So I made a determination that wasn't going to happen to me anymore. So I created this guide for beneficiaries and this financial organizer form. Go back one more slide for me, Sandy, real quick. Thank you. So what this form does is allows you to go out and collect all updated data on your clients. And even though you think your clients tell you everything, I'm going to share some stories with you where they don't, even ones that trust you impeccably. So what we did is we went out and saw all these clients and got a beneficiary guide to them. And as we were updating all their financials over a 6-month period, we wrote an additional $1.5 million in annuity premium, $200,000 in single premium life, traditional single premium life, and $150,000 in National Guardian life. And the reason that happened was when you give them this beneficiary guide, they have to tell you everything on the financial organizer that we developed. So go ahead, Sandy. This is what it looks like for NTINE Financial Services. It's real simple. It's a guide for my beneficiary. For help settling my estate, please call my advisor at NTINE Financial Services. So this is your client you did business with telling their family members, call this guy. Don't call the guy at the bank. Call John. So on the next page, what you're going to see is this is a letter, and I don't know how well you can see it, but it's a personal letter written from me telling them how part of our service is to help their family and make sure all their wishes that they've told us they want are done and in order. So this is kind of an opening letter from us. And then as they go through the guide tells the beneficiary everything that they need to do at death, from contacting Social Security, letters to write to the pension plan, contacting the credit card companies. So when your clients see this, they're like, wow, that's really going to help my family. And then we say, well, one of the things we need to do is update your financial organizer, because Mrs. Jones, once we do this and put it with your beneficiary guide, if I had never met you before, I could pick up your beneficiary guide and this document and I could start settling your estate without ever meeting you. So as we go through the guide, we're just updating all information. You can see that we're getting all their new financials. And then on that page on the right, question 8 says, have you prepaid your funeral? If they tell us no, we're not going to launch into a sales pitch. We're going to mark that no, and then we're going to circle the wagons. But what if they tell us yes? We've already prepaid our funeral at the funeral home. Our next question to them is, do you have any money that you would like to see go to your children or a charity that you want to know is 100% protected from a nursing home? Bam. There's where they'll say, well, yeah, you know what? I was leaving this money to my daughter in this CD. Why do that? Why risk it? Let's get it moved over here and get it protected. So then we'll go to the back there. That's just the rest of the financial organizer. What we do is we go out, we meet with them, we do all this in handwriting, then we bring it back in the office. We have it in PDF. Our assistant types it all up, and then we give them this document, because when we go do a review for them next year, if anything's changed, all we have to do is go in and make the adjustment on the saved PDF, print it out, and send it back out to the client. And it's just a note sheet at the back if you need that for anything. Sandy, before you take any questions, I just want to say something. I appreciate everybody taking their time out of their business. I know it's a Friday. I know you all work hard because I'm in that same business. But if you have any questions or that you'd like to ask, I think you can type them in the box and Sandy will relay them to me.
So we do have a few questions. We have one that asks, are you writing the Irrevocable Funeral Trust and billing for that?
No, we don't. I don't know what you mean by billing. We do a single premium. So if we're writing $15,000, we're funding it with $15,000 day one.
And then an additional question, can we put a qualified annuity in a trust that has several years surrender charge period?
You cannot, because what you would have to do is take money from the qualified plan, pay tax on that portion that you took out, and then put it into the trust.
Are there any restrictions from using qualified assets to purchase this product?
Not as long as you take the distribution and pay the taxes on it and make it non-qualified money before it goes in. So, and the reason I say that is we do that with clients who have a big annuity. Maybe they've got 300 grand in a qualified plan. You know, we'll tell them, yeah, you do have to pay the taxes on the money, but guess what? Somebody's paying those taxes at some point. So why not start getting them out and getting them into a position that makes them tax-free when you pass away?
So we don't have any additional questions. Wanted to let everyone know that of course we'll get anyone interested contracted so they can attend the next webinar on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time with John and continue the talk with National Guardian Life. Wanted to just say again, thank you so much, John, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your schedule. Hope everyone has this very safe and happy weekend, and hope to see most of you on our Tuesday webinar. Again, everyone have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sandy. Bye-bye.